Welcome to Building Assets in Youth, where in just 10 minutes or less, you will gain easy-to-implement tools to help youth in your sphere of influence build assets. Assets allowing them to thrive when they can and struggle well when they need to. This series is brought to you by Discover You, who's been providing tools to build courage, confidence, and connection in youth for over 20 years. I'm your host, Beverly Wenzel, and I'm here to have some fun with you as we explore a foundational concept in asset building known as character strengths. In our time together, you will discover the importance of balancing strengths and gain a powerful tool to address and channel challenging behaviors in youth. This is one of my favorite parts about character strengths. So if you haven't had a chance yet to enjoy the first 3 episodes on character strengths, I encourage you to do that now, as it will help support your learning today. Character strengths are the positive attributes that we each possess, where we can rank our own by visiting viacharacter.org, where you can take a survey that will give you your character strengths in numerical order. It takes less than 15 minutes. When we touch on the character strengths here, there are 24 of them under 6 different virtues. The virtue of wisdom includes creativity, curiosity, judgment, love of learning, and perspective. Courage includes bravery, honesty, perseverance, and zest. Humanity includes kindness and love and social intelligence. Justice includes fairness, leadership, and teamwork. Temperance is forgiveness, humility, prudence, and self-regulation. And transcendence is appreciation of beauty and excellence, gratitude, hope, humor, and spirituality. I'm sure there are strengths in there that resonated with you. So let's understand strengths better and how we use them. We know that using our strengths allows us to be the best version of ourselves. When we use the right strengths in the right amount, in the right situation, they are the most impactful and meaningful. We also know that having diversity in strengths is an asset. So we all have a different combination of strengths, and we all use our strengths and express our strengths differently. That's very powerful, as it is good that we do not want to be the same. Our strengths make us individuals. They are a unique thumbprint of us on the world. They incorporate our purpose and our passions and bring it all together. Sometimes we need to help develop these strengths in the youth that we serve. I would say all the time. We have natural leaders in our youth. We can help them to shape their leadership. We have natural team members. We can help them to be better in teamwork. We help people, especially our young people, become the best version of themselves through how they express the strengths that they have. So there are some key challenges when working with signature strengths. So signature strengths are usually our top 5 strengths. We often call them our superpowers. They are who we are to our core and how we show up in almost every circumstance. But sometimes we can have challenges around those strengths. So I'm calling them strengths, but I'm also saying there's challenges attached to them. We can generally be unaware of our strengths. Sometimes we don't see them in ourselves. Though often when young people sit down and take a look and think about their strengths and they take a survey or have a conversation, they really do recognize where their strengths are. But maybe we're not thinking about them or being aware of them. We might see our strengths as just something ordinary and forget how extraordinary they are. And oftentimes 1 or 2 are those things lead to an overuse of our strengths. When we put our strengths too far forward or we use them too strongly in a particular situation. So take example of humor. Too much humor, it can come off as rude. Or too much curiosity can feel like you're being a bit nosy. Or leadership can be viewed as bossy or controlling. So think about ourselves, adults in our lives and young people in our lives, and think about how sometimes we might feel, oh, I'm not sure I like where this is going. Oftentimes those behaviors our signature strengths in overdrive. So let's talk about overusing strengths and some examples of that. You might be overusing your love of learning, perhaps starting a lot of new things without completing any. Or overusing leadership, you're saying yes to too many opportunities and becoming overtaxed. Or if you're overusing your strength of forgiveness, you might be failing to set boundaries when other people have caused harm. Now let's think about how you can underuse your strengths. Your love of learning, maybe you're not interested in trying new things, or your mindset is that you're not able to learn. Or you might be underusing leadership in not speaking up when you have something that the group will benefit from your contribution of. Or you might be underusing forgiveness, where you're holding on to hurts and you're holding grudges and you're feeling that you're being overly affected by things that you could let go of and you're not getting self-care that you need. So what you really need to do is balance strengths and help others around us balance those strengths. So say for our love of learning, if you are overusing love of learning, you could pair that with self-regulation. That might be a middle or lesser strength. You might be able to say, okay, I'm only going to study 2 hours a day or read 1 book a week. You might be able to balance that with prudence or perhaps creativity. If you think about leadership, you might be able to, if you're overusing leadership, consider pairing that with social intelligence so you can increase your awareness of how other people are perceiving you and how you're interacting with the world around you. You might think about using perseverance a little bit more so that you're continuing on with your commitments. Perspective might come in handy if you're overusing leadership, because you need to step back and see what best suits you, or are you making the right choices as a leader. Or forgiveness, if you're overusing forgiveness, that one again you might want to pair with social intelligence, so you're actually taking a good look at the world around you and what's going on. Or just honesty, to just be able to come forward to someone and be honest that forgiveness is where you need to set boundaries. Judgment, that you are able to say what's okay for you and what's not okay for you. And maybe you just need to throw in a little bit of loving kindness to extend to yourself or to the other individual. So strengths are great, right? We should use them all the time as much as we can. Well, too much of anything is just too much. So the strength language leads us to powerful conversations around when you might be overusing a strength. And this is such a great way to communicate this to young people. So when you think about a young person overusing a strength, they might be acting up in class because they're trying to be the class clown, or they might be coming across as bossy, or maybe they're letting someone cheat off their test because they're too kind, right? So think about those strengths, and you think about behaviors, and they're usually attached to a strength being over or underused. What do we typically do? Well, as adults, we typically squash those strengths. We come in and we say, stop being bossy, stop letting people cheat off your test. We reprimand people for overusing those strengths. Well, you know what? The world needs good leaders, and the world needs kind people. The world needs young people who recognize their strengths and then recognize there's a right amount of way to use them, a right amount to use them in any circumstance. So instead of approaching someone and just saying, stop being bossy, you can go up to them and say, I think you're overusing your leadership strength a little bit. You might want to temper that with humility or social intelligence. Or you may be overusing your strength of humor a little bit. We need humor as people, but there's a time and a place. Maybe you can balance that with another one of your strengths. So what we are able to do then is to change overuse of strengths, which manifests itself as poor behaviors, and leverage them with underusing or using more of other strengths for balance. So here's your building asset challenge. Take a notice when you and the youth around you may be overusing a strength, and when possible, have a conversation on balancing those strengths. In our time together, you discovered the importance of balancing strengths, and you gained a powerful tool to address and channel challenging behaviors in youth. See you again as we continue to build assets in youth.